For a few days now, I've been pondering a term that is used in the Bible. It was used by Paul and throughout, actually, the Old Testament and the New. And I wanted to just talk about it a little bit. There's a term in the Bible that is referred to as first fruits. Kind of a unique term, and we have a general understanding of what it means because of just for the words themselves. But I wanted to go into a little bit about what the Bible has to say about it. And I thought the first thing that I would do is give you the definition of first fruits according to Webster and a few of the other dictionaries. One says the first agricultural produce of a season, especially when given as an offering to God. That makes sense. And then another says the best of an offering, representative of the whole harvest. So, first fruits has symbolism to it, but more so, it opens us up, I think, to a little bit deeper understanding of some of the things that God requires and gives us a greater understanding of just who God is and what He wants. So I thought I'd go through a few scriptures. Exodus 23:19 was a commandment that God gave. The first of the first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring into the house of the Lord thy God. So God commanded the children of Israel to bring in the first fruits. In Exodus 34:22, and thou shalt observe the feast of weeks of the first fruits of wheat harvest. So that was the beginning of it. And the feast of ingathering at the end, the year's end. So he was telling us something special about that. When we look at King David, in 2 Kings 4:42, and there came a man from Baal-Shalisha, and brought the man of God bread of the first fruits, 20 loaves of barley, and full ears of corn, and in the husk thereof, and he said, give unto the people that they may eat. Even in King David's time, first fruits had a significance to it. Ezekiel 20, verse 40. For in mine holy mountain, and the mountain of the height of Israel, saith the Lord God, there shall all the house of Israel, all of them in the land, serve me. There will I accept them, and there I will require your offering and the first fruits of your oblations with all your holy things. Now I remember reading in another spot about first fruits in which God asked for and commanded that the children of Israel present their firstborn as the first fruits unto God. When he executed judgment on Egypt, it was the firstborn, not only of the families, but the firstborn of the livestock, the firstborn of everything that was in the land at that time. So it was something that a judgment was carried out against the firstborn of Egypt and everything that Egypt had. When I look at Romans 8:28, when we start digging into the New Testament, and not only they, but ourselves also, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of our body. So even the Spirit has a first fruits. Now, the significance of that isn't really as clear as it could be, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this subject. As we look at the first fruits, if indeed the Father has required a first fruits, is that first fruits Jesus, or is that first fruits Jesus and his body, head and body? And if that is the case, is there something that is happening in the lives of those who are called to maybe that calling, that is difficult to grasp in this kind of a time and in this kind of an age, because so much of what is talked about in the churches and throughout doesn't seem to satisfy what is happening inside those individuals. They need or are looking for something which is significantly more than what they're receiving. So we think about first fruits, and then we wonder, okay, well, what exactly does that mean? 1 Corinthians 15:23 says, "But every man in his own order, Christ the firstfruits, after those who are Christ at his coming." So we know about Christ and all the wonderful things that he has done, but is Christ having prepared for him a first fruits unto him? And the question, or the answer to that, is a lot more yes than we think. In Revelation 1:18, it says, "Of his own will he begot us by the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures." So, again, is there something special that God has done specifically for us that we need to be aware of? Revelation 14:4 probably unpacks this a little bit more, in that it says, "These are they," and this is in reference to the 144,000. Now, there's a lot of weird stuff talked about that. That's the Jews only, it's the tribes only. It's kind of different, but listen to what it says, and then ask yourself, is this something that I should be concerned about? It says in Revelation 14:4, "These are they that were not defiled with women, for they are virgins." Now, we know that symbolism in the Bible takes things like statements like this and opens them up so that you can see into them a little bit better. Something like this is referring to the fact that everything that Jesus said, when Jesus said, "No man can love mother, father, sister, or brother and follow me." It's like, what? So there are things that are spoken of by the Lord to. How often have you heard the phrase, "He who has an ear to hear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying to the church"? Jesus said, "He that has an ear to hear, let him hear what the Spirit says." And so there are those who will hear what I'm about to say and will grasp it, and there are those who will not. And that is nothing good or bad. It is merely meant as a barometer as to knowing what the calling is that is on you. The people who are not defiled by women and who are virgins are those who have chosen in their inner man to give to God everything that they are, that to totally surrender all that is required, and to be in tune with him in everything that he wishes. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't have love for their mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers, because it's kind of like, I heard a brother say this, when the moon is out, you can see the stars, and when the sun is down, you can see the stars. But as soon as the sun rises, the stars go away. And this is the same intensity with which the Lord desires our love to be of him. That when he is present, everything else pales by comparison. So the love that we have for the Lord is significantly more than the love that we have for our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our fathers, our children, our wives, those kind of things. But nonetheless, it's still there. So it's not that you have removed it, it is just in comparison. So this is what the virgins are. They're those who follow the Lamb wherever he goes, because their focus is on him alone, and not negating or neglecting any of their duties or any of the things that are required of their life at that time, their work, their enjoyments. Everything is tempered by the fact that their eyes are focused on the Lord and what the Lord wants. They were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and unto the Lamb. Now we're beginning to see something that is very important. If in your daily walk you're struggling to find those who you can fellowship with, you're struggling to be able to talk about the things that God is doing and requiring in you, and most of those who look upon you think that you're either one, a fanatic, or that there's something wrong with you, and it's a part of things that you just can't seem to settle in your heart and in your mind, and you don't know who to share it with. So Paul talked about something that I think will help in understanding what is going on. And he said in Philippians 3:10 and 11, that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings, being made conformable unto his death, that if by any means I might attain unto the resurrection of the dead. Now we know that Jesus spoke to us in John and said that in that day the trumpet will sound and the dead will rise. All dead will rise. So we know that something that Paul must be talking about here is different than the resurrection in which all mankind will be raised and brought into the judgment. So what is it that he's after? And he's beginning to allude to something that has to do with, again, first fruits. First fruits are a identical replica of what the rest of the harvest is all about. They are formed, ripened, prepared, ready in every aspect, but at a different timing. And is the things that we are going through, those who are struggling with much of what Christianity is about in this day, are yearning for something that is much more than what we currently have. And the unique thing about it is Jesus said to us that many are called, but few are chosen. Several places in the scripture refer to that in the Gospels especially. So if many are called, but few are chosen, is there something that chosen means? Is it something that signifies not the group as the called, but the chosen as something special that God, through his awesome wisdom and majesty, and Jesus through choosing, because he said no man can come to me unless drawn by the Father for salvation. Many are called, but few are chosen. You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that you should produce much fruit. So is the chosen a smaller group? And is that smaller group being prepared to become something more than they currently are, but a beginning foundation or group of first fruits representing what God will ultimately do in those who are saved and those who come to Christ and understand that they have need of a Savior. So there's something special in God's eyes. Not that he's a respecter of men. This is calling. Peter told us to work out, make our election and calling sure. Paul told us to work out your own salvation, your own calling. So there's something special that God has looked at us and decided would be able to endure to be a first fruits unto God and the Lamb. And this is what the majority of the things that we're enduring and going through are pointing towards. So I'm going to stop this at the moment because the answer to this is also in the story of Elijah and Elisha, and I would like to go into that with a little detail. If you're not happy, you sense there's more, that you can't seem to just get comfortable in the relationship that you have with the Lord, nor get comfortable in the relationship that you have with those around you, that you feel a yearning and a calling that is something beyond you, chances are you're experiencing the calling to first fruits. And be encouraged. There are others of us who are out in the religious communities doing what we know best and still yearning for and wanting more and more. And hopefully these videos will help.